guys. Welcome to Coffee with MBA and Beyond. Today's session is going to be very specific to the essay prompts of INSEAD, and we will be tackling two essays that we consider as the deal breaker. Shantanu is going to be advising you on how should you be approaching them, along with sharing with a couple of samples. So as we're going to go through the session, you guys will have questions, of course. Feel free to drop them in the chat box here. We're going to take them up one by one, but we are going to limit the conversation to only the essay topics right now. If there's something else you want to discuss, we drop the calendar link in here so we can have a chat with you or a conversation with you later on whatever questions you have. But try to keep your questions specific to the essay topics that we're going to be discussing here today. Before we start, I will help you, and we're waiting for a couple of more people to join. Let me help you understand a couple of things that you need to be aware of. So at MBA and Beyond, we are starting this essay series, which is going to go on for the next 3 months. So if you're targeting any of the M7s, including Kellogg, Booth, Columbia, Howard, Stanford, Wharton, Fuqua, Darden, Tuck, NYU, Stern, Berkeley, Haas, you can navigate through to our events page on the website. You will be able to see it on the top bar. I will, of course, show it to you in some time as well. And you can register for the upcoming sessions as you want, depending on which schools you're targeting. Apart from that, at the end of the session, because this is more like a workshop that we've organized it, so there's going to be a few questions that you will receive in an email in your inbox from Neha, from MBA and Beyond. So you can take the whole weekend to answer that question, maybe spend 200 words or spend the whole weekend, try to limit it to 200 words and send it back to us. We are doing a free essay, or let's say a one-pager or a candid description, personal story review for all our candidates this month who are targeting INSEAD. So use this opportunity to really learn from Shantanu what exactly and how should you really be thinking, and then try to put it into practice over the next 2 days and send across your answers by Monday. So this is how we're going to go through the session. Again, the deadline for the free review that you will receive from us is only until Monday. So feel free to really think through and send in your answers by Monday. I'm Paridhi, co-founder of MBA and Beyond, hosting today's session with founder of MBA and Beyond, Shantanu, who's also an INSEAD alum. So I'll let Shantanu introduce himself and then just kick off the session. Over to you, Shantanu.
Right. Thank you, Paridhi. And to all of you guys, welcome. Welcome on another session by us. And like Paridhi mentioned, we are going to be doing this essay session where we are going to pick schools. We're going to pick essays one by one and going to help you understand what it really takes. And today it's about INSEAD. I think, but it's only about INSEAD today, right?
Yes, only the 2 questions, candid.
Only the 2 questions, right? And if time allows, I'll be more than happy, if all of you guys agree on a particular question, I can pick up the 3rd question, which whatever you guys choose, if time allows, guys, right? Right, guys, I'm Shantanu. I'm the founder at MBA and Beyond. Like Pradeep mentioned, I'm an INSEAD grad 2017 December batch. I've helped a lot of applicants get to the top-notch B schools, obviously including INSEAD. That's pretty much about me. I think, Pradeep, we can get with this session.
Yes, so Shantanu, I think we will start off with the essay topic or essay prompt, which you can elaborate on about candid description at INSEAD. What does INSEAD really mean by that question? And what are various successful ways of opening that question? And how should one go about the storytelling on that? So, yeah.
Sure. Just a quick thing. Everyone can drop in a message in the chat box, right?
Yes, they should be able to.
They should be able to. Okay, guys, would you guys mind to just drop in like which wonderful, which of the INSEAD questions do you feel the most challenging?
If you have taken a look, of course, for the
If you have taken a look, yeah. I mean, don't copy and paste the entire thing. I mean, just a short thing. For example, the first question is rational in job description. The second question is goals. The third question is candid description. The fourth question is going to be highly stressful motivational essay. Okay, cool. Candid description. Okay, Anjali. Anyone else? And yeah, the after stressful, the last question, easy. Okay, so I think we have only two people who find it difficult. Robotic questions? I think it means video essays. Okay. Right, Pawan? You mean video essays? Additional essay. Okay. I think Pratmesh should mean optional. Okay, cool. Right. So guys, to start with, the one question that I find the most interesting in the beginning of my admissions consulting career, I found the most difficult um, is the kind of description of yourself as a person and a leader. But before I get to the question, I think if you see, right, cool, Nitya, stressful, nice. It's a new question, by the way, the stressful one. So yeah, so INSEAD very well splits the two categories of questions. One is job, another one is motivation. The biggest mistake that people make is they keep on talking about their professional life, you know. So I mean, INSEAD has a question which says, give the rationale behind your career choices, right? So anyways, over there you're going to talk about what was the rationale behind leaving this job, taking another one, and also the roles that you have undertaken, and then you sort of repeat the same thing under kind of description, right? Because you just tend to focus on the professional side of yours. This is exactly where INSEAD is different than the other schools, because they very specifically mentioned, categorically mentioned motivational essays, right? And they very categorically mention job essays, right? So if they just wanted to listen to you talking about the professional jargon, they would not have had this differentiation, first of all. Now, to start with, kind of description, I mean, the question itself has a lot of things. Thank you, Injai. So you've shared the question. Give a kind of description of yourself as a person and a leader, emphasizing the strength and weakness you recognize in yourself. And the question also talks about what are the factors that influenced your personal development. Um, a lot of questions in there, right? Candid description, strengths, weakness. Yep, indeed, it's a tricky one. Um, and then your personal development, 500 words. Honestly, it's very difficult by the look of it, you know. And like I said, you should also steer away just from your professional life. I mean, eventually we're doing a B school application. We indeed are going to bring in the professional side of yours, but I think they themselves are asking, is there more that you can talk about? You know, and this is exactly where the way we at MBA and Beyond like tackle this question is we really want to start um, with talking about your personality, like injecting personality from the first line of the essay. Earlier, also, like 4 or 5 years ago, what we used to do was we would still inject the personality. We would bring out a moment from your professional life, but something that is personal to you. So personality has always been in the history of MBA and Beyond, stayed at the core of this particular question. So as of now, I'm just going to give you a good template, and then I'm going to read out the essay. So the template goes like, you introduce yourself because they say candid, right? You really introduce yourself, and you give them something which really makes them understand who you are, and who you are generally comes from your childhood, right? Yeah, you would have your aspirations. I mean, professionally, majority of you want to become management consultants, right? Or you want to become product managers. Um, but you have a personal aspiration, right? And your personal aspiration is pushing your professional side to do whatever you want to do, right? And to get hold of this personal aspiration, it really boils down to during your childhood, um, you grew up dreaming, right? What was that dream, right? And or during your formative years, there were things that you really wanted to do, and for some reasons you couldn't, right? And now that has snowballed into your aspirations, right? Um, this is one way of looking at it. And I'm going to also throw an example, guys. Growing up with people from more than 10 nationalities in a different country during the formative years, I had, at a tender age, a profound realization that the world is how you shape it to be. Being born in a remote village near XYZ border, raised by my granddad as I was an unexpected child to my parents, life took a drastic turn when my grandfather's friend took me along to the city of name of the city. So guys, I really got to hide the identity of the applicants. So let's say even in future, if any one of you joins us, one thing that we're going to make sure is even when I'm going to read out your essays, like no one can trace it back to you. Okay. So I can't name those countries, the company name or the city names. Moving ahead. Now, I not only had to survive, but make my grandparents proud, even if it meant grinding after school. But we learned from hardships. And by the time I was 11, I knew three languages, including the native language, and had met a successful entrepreneur who came from Tibet at an early age. Meeting him made me believe that success was not limited to those who inherited it. I was determined to make my way out of everything and build something on my own. I didn't talk about any professional thing until now. Right? Like there's literally nothing professional. And it really gives a peek in who the applicant is. Like you guys can really figure out what the personality is, right? And the reason we are talking about this stuff is that I eventually want to come down after giving the candidate description. I eventually want to come down to what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses. So if you see from this particular story, this person was an unexpected child to his parents, right? And then we say that the strength is that this person has always been independent, right? And by the way, we also mentioned it over here that this person also took loan for undergrad and paid it off. So being independent is the strength. And the weakness that we are going to portray through this is weakness, like taking too much control. Okay, so now I'm going to read out the essay further. These experiences made me resilient, goal-oriented, and independent, not wanting to be a burden to my parents. Upon returning to India, I financed my education through a loan. During my school years, I received 2 gold medals, topping the state mathematics Olympiad, and securing first place in a football tournament, showcasing my diverse talent. Then I chose to study engineering, a decision I saw as a stepping stone towards something greater, something entrepreneurial. It was blah blah country that had made me, and thus wanting to get more global exposure. I worked with a few firms, and I also received the Best Employee Award at ABC Corporation and a fast track promotion at other company. Now, leveraging my strength, I carved my way out of consulting to technology world in order to work as an entrepreneur in residence at blah blah company. Here, I'm managing clients in India, Vietnam, Philippines, bringing a revenue of more than $2 million with my efforts alone. I led my internal team of 6 and 200 on-ground workers in the Philippines warehousing solution implementation project with P&G and Nestle. Getting the recognition from on-ground workforce would any day outshine my reward box at the company name, as they call Isa Siya sa atin, one amongst us. Being independent since early years made me wing to my formative days. I had to have things planned and situation under control, but I never realized this turned into a weakness. However, learning from incorrect databases given by clients and multiple travel experiences around flight cancellation in a foreign land, I've now learned to embrace the unpredictable. And what truly matters is to ensure that the past missteps do not become a fate. I remember my professor saying, if we tread the present step with care, purpose, and grace, the subsequent path will unfold into realms of unimaginable success. I thus believe that my step of doing an MBA from INSEAD will guide me to my desired goals. full stop. These are like 500 words, right? Again, I mean, if you see, it was really very less about the professional life. It was more about the personal life. Through personality, I mean, we projected a personality, then we had pinned out what are the strengths and the weaknesses. Indeed, we have thrown professional examples over there, and that's how we merge your personal and professional life together to serve this essay.
Got
Any
it.
questions, anyone?
Thanks, Shantanu. Yes, I will. Meanwhile, of course, if you guys could really follow through what Shantanu walked you through, feel free to drop the questions here, but I'll facilitate this for you a little bit. So, Shantanu, definitely there are various ways on how we can project personalities. There are parts of us that we can talk about, we want to talk about. How should one pick that aspect of one's life to start the application with? If you have any 2 cents on that, like, okay, this is the part of my personality, or this is the part of my personal story that I want to build the whole theme on.
Right. Yeah, that is difficult, because even when I work with the applicants, you go through a lot of content together. But the best way to shortlist a content is a personal side of yours, a personal story of yours that really does justice with the strengths and weaknesses that you're talking about.
Got it.
And yeah,
Okay, so anything that is justifying the strengths and weaknesses that you're going to be later on talk about in your application, that should be the narrative that should be prioritized in the candidate description. Okay,
absolutely.
I think we have a question, and that is specific on to the Nitya is asking. I think it's tricky to figure out the weaknesses to include in the essay because you don't want that to weigh you down. So how do you recommend thinking about this? So I think as a follow-up, we can start with the weaknesses first, and then we can talk about the strengths. So all of us can connect the dots a little bit on how should we think about a story that's supporting our strengths and weakness. So Shantanu, maybe we can answer Nitya's question as we're going in the flow.
Right. So Nitya, it's a very good question, and I've seen applicants struggling the most when it comes to weaknesses, right? And the same thing, right? Like, how much vulnerable can I be over here, right? I mean, as they would say, why should we even take this applicant, right? If you're so weak. First of all, refrain from using weaknesses like I'm bad at communication. Now that's something which is going to put them off, right? Um, but indeed, there are some weaknesses that come up. And honestly, Smita, for me to answer this question is just out of my experience. I know it's difficult, but for instance, one thing that I've seen is common thing that people talk about is delegation. You know, I mean, all of you guys on an average, you would be 5 6 years, or you would have 5 6 years of experience. Few of you might have like 12 13, right? Um, but yeah, for example, I'm not good at delegation. I really think I can do all the stuff myself, you know. Um, but also there are ways of saying it. One is delegation. There's another way is I think like I don't want to give work to others because I think I'm better at it, right? Now that's not a weakness. And the other thing that the mistake that people make over here is they disguise their strength. Like, I can't say no to work. When a manager comes in, like I don't say no, you know. And this is actually the most common example, which everyone comes in, and we never shortlist this. Um, it's like I can't say no, and I eventually then screw up my work-life balance. I mean, come on, guys, this is not a weakness, right? You're disguising your strength and putting it over there. But I mean, you can really be vulnerable over here. It's totally fine. What's more important is what did you learn out of it? You don't sing songs about your weakness. Like I screwed up here. Wait, let me tell you in 100 words. No, you know, you talk about it, you move away, and then you start mentioning what did you learn out of it. Obviously, it should be coherent. You know, the like coherence, guys. It just goes without saying. Um, I don't want to keep on repeating coherent. Yeah. That's the way, Nitya.
Yeah, can we maybe give one solid example, Shantanu, that you might have seen, which, like, which really stood out to you as a weakness as well when you were working with candidates? I mean, of course, you work with so many candidates for INSEAD, but, like that one candidate, if you want to talk about, okay, where you felt like, oh, this is a weakness worth talking about in the application, which really stands out as a weakness compared to all other weaknesses. Could there be anything
Yeah,
popping up in your
yeah.
head?
I mean, the
Yeah.
bunch of weaknesses, a bunch of applicants that I've worked with, but one that I mean, the reason I remember is because I resonated, with that, and the very few people who also come up with it is um, that I work in a team where no one listens to me. I'm trying my best, but really no one is listening to me. So I think that's my weakness. Yeah. Which is this generally happens with people who are really young, have gotten good fast track career growth, and now are managing a team where they have people for like 10, 15 years of experience, and they only have 4, 5, or 3. You know, so yeah, managing the team where years of work experience is on the higher side, not able to convince them properly, right? Um, and we are genuinely what happens is that they feel you're a kid, right? Like, why should I listen to you? I have like more experience than you, like way more, way more experience than you. Um, this one I sort of also resonated, um, with my story as well, pre MBA. So yeah, this one was really good. Another one that I remember is unapproachable, which was also pretty good. Again, not many people have it. So applicants from oil and gas, they actually when so these guys become rig managers, right? Um, at an early age, young age. Now they have like 100 workers working on the rig, um, and they have to manage them. And safety is a huge factor over there. And this guy said that there was this guy who wanted to tell me that he needs a break, but I was not available, and he was not feeling well. And then he actually fell. He fell from like 10 feet. He fell like 10 feet down. Um, though there was no serious injury, but then we realized that I think I was not approachable, so that was a weakness. Um, and then we moved on to how like what were the learnings. So for weakness, I mean, for every particular aspect in this essay, it needs to be thought through.
Okay. Thanks, Shantanu. And now, of course, because people did ask what is the best weakness that you, of course, like for younger, and I think that answered Kritika's question as well, because she did ask how to portray weaknesses as a 3-year work experience candidate. Now, these are the weaknesses that have worked. So whatever we are sharing here on this platform does not mean that you copy paste and submit exactly that in the November 4 application deadline. Try to think it through from your perspective, because sometimes the repetition also does not work in landing candidates through. It has to be as authentic as it can be to your own personal story. If you can defend that with a personal narrative that Shantanu talked about, that any weaknesses or any strengths that can be supported with your personal story as well has to go in your application, not incoherent, as we have used the term earlier as well, as coherent as they can be. I think we should, there are a couple of questions which are out of the candid description right now. So we'll tackle that towards the end. We'll just wrap up the candid description essay question by strengths. Shantanu, do you want to talk about maybe one of the best strengths that you have felt, which was very much supported very well by a personal story as well, even though you've narrated the story to us, but maybe like really elaborating on it for the audience might really help.
Yeah. So the strength was the um, being a mediator, able to resolve the conflicts well, and can pull that story. can pull
And
that
while
story. Wait a
Shantanu is
minute,
looking for
guys.
it, I think that
No, I
maybe,
got it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
yeah,
I got
okay.
it. Yeah. So that actually stays in my repository. Um, so it goes like this. People are born with different gifts. I was born with a bold personality that hasn't ever dulled down. Growing up in a family primarily led by women and promoting living life to the fullest, I was a handful. Known to have a reputation of a mischief maker, nonetheless, I made friends easily and loved being in the company of people, thriving in outdoor environments, and taking a keen liking to performing arts, especially dancing. I gained ample support from my parents in times when I was right, and other times I was being yeah, I got stick, um, either through an honest, but I got the ears either through an honest conversation or in harsher cases restricting my access to something beloved. Being spoken to as an equal, even as a child and a teenager, made me realize that my opinions mattered. This was an insurmountable factor in bolstering my confidence. I'm often reminded that I come from a small town by my urban friends and cousins, but I've never felt any lesser or deterred due to my unwavering confidence. So much so that even during hard times of layoffs or significant projects falling through, the same confidence and belief in myself have come to save me. Again, not even a single professional thing until now, right? Um, Being given due respect in all situations, showing that respect is a two-way street, has made me look at any problem as a disguised opportunity to understand the circumstance, the person, and the matter at hand from more than one perspective. Even when my folks and I did not understand each other, we gave one another the courtesy of listening and responding with reason, owning a conflict resolving attitude while approaching any situation. Funny, looking back now, these very qualities help me abundantly when working with cross functional teams and mediating conflicts with precise and concise communication. A recent mammoth endeavor with Unilever for image recognition of their ice cream products required extensive mediation and put all these skills to test. Brainstorming with the development teams and presenting solution client office in Malaysia and Thailand, I resolved teething issues, breaking the project into phases, and closing a 3-year, $1 million ARR deal, right? So yeah, I really like this. Really like building it. The way the applicant came and said, I've always like I understand people really well. Like I don't think anything. So what applicant told me was that I don't think anyone is right or wrong. You know, there are perspectives, and I feel I can really understand that because I have a personal story behind it, and I'm really very good at resolving conflicts.
Yeah. Thanks, Shantanu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was also just answering around strength. So if you guys have any more questions around strengths, please drop those because we're trying to keep it specific to this. In 2 more minutes, we're going to jump onto the goals essay. Yes, Devesh, we can read your question. I can read it out loud. Strength is problem solver, people's person, and good at managing situation. When things are on fire, will it work? I think it's very similar to what Shantanu has just quoted. So if you can tie it back into, not just your professional life, but also link it to your personal life, go for it. From what I've gathered so far, that for the candidates or for the essays that we've read, a strength and weakness does not only have to be supported by your professional life, but also your personal life, which we're repeating it over and over again. And that's all what the candidate description question is about. So find your personal life connection, your professional life connection to your strengths and weaknesses, whatever value is standing out. Try to choose that and do not try to dilute. Because sometimes what happens when Shantanu and I review some applications and some essays, we feel like you're trying to talk too many things at the same time. So the true essence of the value that you're actually trying to communicate, which INSEAD would value, it goes amiss here and there. So try to keep the focus very sharp and try not to dilute. So let's say, Devish, if you're talking about problem solving, you'd rather stick to that. Or if you're talking about conflict management or, solving, if you're a people's person and, if you're solving things for them when things are on fire, then stick to that. Because problem solving can be a very broad aspect of how you will link it to your personal life, because this candidate was able to really link it to the personal life, like how he's able to be more, how he is more emotionally intelligent because he was raised by, and he gave the whole background about where he was coming from. So you do that for yourself, try to think through your upbringing, through your personal aspects, challenges that you faced, and then try to distill them into your professional experience as well. Can being spiritual be welcomed as a strength? I mean, why not? As long as you're not taking any sides. But spirituality is definitely is a very broad concept. And definitely, if you could link it to something that's more meaningful to you personally, and also you are able to translate that into something that you do professionally, go ahead, do that. Everything is welcome, guys. There's nothing that business schools are going to say no to. But the hack is that do not have a standalone strength there without any support coming in from your experiences. Think through evidences. And this is the whole exercise that you will do now, because we want you to think through your strengths, weaknesses, supported by your professional life and personal life. That's the work that you have to do in the next 2 days. So you can send back the answers to me, to Neha, or to Shantanu. Send them back to Neha, and then she's, of course, going to distribute it to me and Shantanu, and then we're going to take it ahead from there to give you a feedback.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so Paridi, just a quick thing. Someone said problem solving, right? So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
quickly read, right? Really quickly read how we came to problem solving, right? This guy was from, he was a software developer. So I was a child who broke his toys, not out of frustration, but to see what made them move. While other kids were fascinated by the buttons, I was captivated by the motor inside. That instinct to unscrew, understand, and rebuild define my relationship with the world early on. I've always been drawn to how things work beneath the surface, more on how they appear. That same curiosity now fuels my passion for backend development. I really wanted to bring this particular factor up. This guy was a backend developer, and I think the backend developers are the least recognized players, especially when it comes to consumers, right? Because they don't see what backend developer did. So hence this, and then we go about saying whether it's designing a database schema, optimizing API response time, fixing legacy infrastructure. I love solving jigsaw puzzles, not to complete the image, but to fit each piece into its perfect place. That's the same fulfillment I get when coding a module and developing new algorithms. This preference for structure and clarity also nourished my problem solving skills. And then we had thrown up professional examples. So yeah, since someone mentioned and Devesh mentioned, so yeah, Devesh, I mean, it perfectly works well.
Thanks, Shantanu. All right, I'm just scrolling back and I'm reading out loud Pawan's question and going to be taking, and then we're going to be moving on to the goals essay, Shantanu, for the next half of the session. My professional title or the job description is Python developer, but every month or quarter I keep working in leadership roles or events that happen in purpose clubs and initiatives. So this will be considered as work experience, or is it still? I mean, he's asking, is it personal experience or is it still talking about my professional experience itself? So I think you've just heard Shantanu quote three very big examples. While you do talk about this as you still your professional life, but how do you tie it back into your stories? What is going to express you personally? Because if you just go on talking about, and this is one of the biggest challenges, I'm not ashamed of sharing this. When you come on board with MBA and beyond, you get to answer two questions in the beginning on the same night when you're starting out with us. The first question is write about yourself, your career trajectory since you graduated from the university. People can go gaga about it and they can fill words and words and go beyond 2000 words. But there's this next question that comes soon after. Give a candid description of yourself and try not to revolve around your professional life. It's so hard for them to even populate 100 words. So if you really want to stand out, all of us really need to think through that question more than the professional life, because professional life is so comparable and there'll always be somebody that's going to be better than you. So if your personal life is not showcasing the true essence that the business schools are looking for, no matter how much achievements you've had in your professional life or whatever accolades you've had, we are not going to be able to get you in. So you need to start brainstorming with someone, with your friends, family, or your consultant if you're working with someone around your personal life more than your professional life. That takes more hours. So because that is something that you don't know and that is something that you've not done. So this, Pawan, long story short, you still need to think through some personal connection to the leadership skills that you're going to be talking about. Um, I think we're good to move on to the next essay. Shantanu, before that, Neha is going to be dropping in the calendar link over here for me. So if you guys have any questions that are beyond the essays, like your profile or anything, feel free to book a slot with me and I'm happy to have a chat with you over the weekend. Shantanu, over to you for the goals question.
Right. Um, okay. So guys, goals question just has 300 words. First of all, um, the moment you're going to mention your goals, give a little bit of context. 100 words would be over. I only have 200 more words left. You've got to talk about courses. You've got to talk about professors. You've got to talk about clubs, right? You also need to highlight that you have also spoken to current students. That would eat into 150 words. It's still got 50 more words left, right? Either you can conclude, right, or provide a little more context, or just add more stuff on how insight specific things are going to help, right? Again, I'm gonna highlight this 100 words. It's gonna take just explaining goals, right? Then you need 150 words in order to explain 150 to 175 words. You need to explain how a specific school is going to help you. And this particular section should have courses, professors, clubs, networking opportunities, internship opportunities, um, any other activity that the school is running, right? Treks, bunch of things, right? So then you would have 25 to 50 words left. You probably can conclude, right? But I don't think using 50 words to conclude, which I think is a lot. A good conclusion can be wrapped up into 25 words, 25, 30 words maximum. So the remaining words that you have, right? You can either use in further identifying INSEAD specific or school specific things that you want to talk about, or you can provide a little more context around the goals. Again, depends from applicants to applicants. Right. So it's a job essay. It's going to be strictly professional, right? There's no personal story coming into here because we have already taken the space. And you would have seen over there in the motivation essays, we hardly touch up, especially in the Candid description essay, we hardly touch upon the professional stuff. We made the entire narrative through personal story by injecting personality. But over here, this is our space where we are going to go extremely hard professional. So I'm going to start with this. Post MBA, I plan to join a top consulting firm like BCG in Europe or the Middle East, focusing on growth, marketing, and omni-channel strategies for consumer brands. The exposure to diverse markets and business challenges will sharpen my judgment and help me become more confident leading teams and navigating complex situations, leading to my long-term goal. In the long term, I want to build a purpose-led D2C lifestyle brand that blends my creative interests in art, design, and wellness with a focus on women-led artisan communities, encouraging conscious consumption and building a business that balances profit with purpose. With my current experience, Insight will be the right step in my journey, helping me to refine my position from a pre-MBA consultant to post-MBA strategic leader. I now seek an academic environment that challenges me to build a more holistic, cross-functional perspective. A few years ago, I attended a venture capital workshop with Professor Henning Pizunga, guys, who, by the way, is not there with the Insight anymore. I also studied his subject, by the way. So yeah, a few years ago, I attended a venture capital workshop with Professor Henning Pizunga, giving me a glimpse of what Insight offers. I look forward to courses such as financial accounting and prices of the markets to help reinforce my structured thinking. Blue Ocean Strategy with Professor W. Chan Kim and Rennie Mabong will help me spot untapped market opportunities while while management decision making and the personal leadership development program will enable me to find my unique leadership style. Conversations with Meher Singh, MB19D, and Kunal Taneja, MB24D, highlighted the strength of INSEAD clubs. Through the consulting club, I can interact with sponsored candidates from leading consulting firms across the world, learn from their experiences, and have access to their network. The mentor-mentee program and case prep resources would help me prepare for my post-MBA goals. Lastly, as I start shaping my entrepreneurial vision, I'm excited about hands-on support through the Center for Entrepreneurship, the Entrepreneur Resilience Program, and the INSEAD Venture Competition. Full stop. right? There's like a lot of stuff, a lot of meat in it, through different ways you can really leverage this. And there's a lot of work which went behind this. Uh, and that is the skills that I get. So where I want to go, right? I want to become this, right? What are the skill sets that are required to become this? What skill set do I already have, right? And what I don't have. So what I have is I'm going to reflect it through different essays. Had this been an LBS essay, had it been like 500 or a 450 word essay, we would have also injected that particular paragraph that this is what I have. But because it's only a 300 word essay, we're going to inject that somewhere else, right? And here we're only going to talk about what I don't have, and I'm going to fill those gaps in uh, through the resources INSEAD is going to provide, or any of these schools going to provide. Here it's right. Any question, guys? Are they on mute?
Any questions, guys, based on whatever you've just heard? And if not, I'm going to kick off. And then, of course, if you have questions, you can drop them here. So Shantanu, definitely, my question would be that, even though it's a goals essay and we want to focus more on the gaps, and even though you've helped us understand, how we're going to use the words or the fraction of, so is the essay going to really entail majority of it, the gaps? Is that a structure that we follow?
Um, Sorry, Paridhi. My bad. My bad. I think I had a little buzzing sound in my earphone. Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. I'm just saying that we are focusing more on the gaps that, INSEAD is going to bridge for us for the goals essay. So my question remains that, so there could be multiple ways of approaching this. The structure that we follow, is it more focused on focusing only on the gaps than talking about the goals?
Right. So yeah, I mean, we've already taken 100 words for the goals on the top, right? Now it's more about how you're going to achieve it.
Okay. And that has to be like the majority of it should definitely focus on the gaps and how NCR is going to help us achieve it. Now let's go back to the 100 words where we are talking about the goals. So the 100 words need to have short term and long term goals both. Am I correct over there? Yes.
Yeah.
Is so let's say if 90% of the people sitting in this audience, of course, and most people are going to say management consulting. Is there a hack that you can talk about? How can we differentiate our story from the others, even though we all want to be either product managers or management consultants within
Yeah, I
these
think
100 words?
right. So honestly, just differentiating yourself in these 100 words is going to be extremely difficult. Differentiating yourself just through this essay is going to be extremely difficult because the sort of resources that all of you would utilize are going to be almost similar, right? But I think the differentiating factor comes from the motivational essays, right? Because eventually, um, your narrative doesn't sit in silo with the goal essay or just with one essay. It's more about how all the essays come together and tell a story, right? Professional essays being extremely professional, right? Um, so it's extremely important for you to, first of all, and by the way, guys, this question follows a question which in detail asks about what you're doing currently in your job. So that's why we haven't repeated that stuff in here. That why am I saying straight away post any goal is this, right? Because a question before this, over there, we have very explicitly mentioned that what you have been doing. So after that, the moment you come down to your goals, and your goals should very well be supported with what you're doing right now. And if it is supported very well with what you're doing right now, this sort of, I would say, validates that when you're saying you'll be able to achieve this goal, you actually have some backing for it, right? Now, the next thing that we do is, apart from the skill set gap, other thing that we do is what are the other barriers that you have? A lot of people also talk about access to, let's say, a particular market, and they really expand upon it, right? That I have actually made network over there, blah, blah, right? And I'm really looking forward with INSEAD, with XYZ school, I'm really looking forward to access to that market because the alum base over there is extremely strong in these companies. I've spoken to blah, blah, and blah, right? So yeah, apart from skill set gap, I think you should also take a look into the barriers. But as far as the differentiating factor is concerned, differentiating factor comes from the whole application, like a holistic view of the application, and that would only come from the personal side of who you are.
Got it, Chandra. Thanks. Between these, again, technical, meanwhile, if nobody has questions, how much focus, so let's say for long-term goal, definitely nobody really knows and it's too much far ahead in the future. So, like almost everybody comes in and says that I want to be a management consultant and then I want to be an entrepreneur thereafter. Majority of the candidates that I've ever spoken to, or, we evaluate profiles of, they all want to say that in their application. How should one choose whether putting in entrepreneurship as their long-term goal is the best bet that they're making or not?
Someone asked me this question yesterday as well. Asked it in a very different way. No, you cannot be sure. That just your goals cannot differentiate you guys, because you're gonna deal is that your goals should first of all match what school can really place you in. If it really has to match, then you got limited options, right? Like you can't say I want to work in the neural department of I forgot the name of that Elon Musk company, that Neuralink, right? I mean, has NCR plays until now? Like, I don't know, or are they even hiring MBAs? Like, I don't know, you so it's not like you can put in anything, so you really got to see what school, eventually school is a marketplace. For school, it really matters that you get placed, right? And for you to get placed, there are some very carved out ways, right? And I think it's better to put those under goals so that when AdCom is reading it, AdCom is like, yeah, I think that I've seen people getting placed. Once you are inside the school, once you're really inside the school, sky is the limit. If you really want to get placed in that Neuralink company, you can get placed. You can leverage the network. But would that story sell in the beginning to AdCom? Guys, I think don't take that chance.
Yeah.
Like literally don't take that chance.
All right. So I have some 2 cents to add over here for.
And sorry. One last thing. I don't want to demotivate anyone, guys. There is nothing that you cannot achieve. Really. You literally can achieve, and no one can stop you from achieving whatever you wish for. Right? I think you just got to be smart in a way that you first of all need to get into a B school. After that, you'll be able to leverage the network, right? So break it down into pieces and fetch it to the AdComs what they can really ingest and digest.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. Over
Thanks,
to you,
Shantanu.
Paridi.
Thanks. All right. So now just coming back to why did we pick the 2 essay questions, the candidate description and goals? One, because we could not have covered all 6 essays and, everything that goes into INSEAD application, the LORs as well. These 2 questions really give insight into how should you be thinking about your personal story and connecting it to your goals. Everything eventually is your goals. But let's say if you're saying entrepreneurship as your post MBA goal, and if there is no connection, let's say, for example, as an entrepreneur, you need to have a big risk taking appetite. And if you're not able to defend that through the candid description essay, or let's say if you haven't ever taken any kind of risk and you've been risk averse and you've really naturally never navigated through multiple jobs, never done anything on the side, it's very hard for you to defend or to even say convincingly to anyone that you are going to be an entrepreneur. So before you tell a story to someone, you have to check with yourself. Have you been able to embrace the values that really go into the job role that you have? I have one last question for you, Shantanu, because we've got 10 minutes. And people, if you've got questions, please feel free to drop them here. the question is, and this is again, I get asked a lot, and of course, I have my own approach to this, but I want to hear and let everybody hear you on this one. So, as we are aware, that everybody who comes on board with us, mostly for INSEAD or let's say some ESA schools like these in Europe or maybe even Booth, they all want to be management consultants. But we also give them a task to, like I know your stories, how you think, make them think through another goal that is not management consulting, that can be best defended. But on the contrary, when the applicant is applying to a consulting heavy school, they have an assumption that if they are going to put any other goal out there, it's not going to land them into that business school. So, how should a candidate really tackle that in again, the goals question here? Because this is very contradictory. And I understand, like, because you've just said that you have to look at the network, you have to see where the placements are, where the market opportunity really is. But having said that, sometimes when we say management consulting, because everybody is saying that, we end up diluting our own application. So how do you approach this?
Yeah, the way I approach this is, first of all, not like a peaceful cannot is not going to take everyone where their goal is management consulting, right? So point number one, if you're putting your goal as management consulting, you're already, you're a part of a pool, right? And if I don't put your goals as management consultant, right, you become a part of a different pool. And you can also, do this short survey with your friends or wherever you probably prepared GMAT or GRE. Ask them what do they want to become or what are you writing in goals. Majority of them would say management consultant, right? Now, I totally understand that, for instance, schools like INSEAD, schools like Tuck, Booth, these are like consultant making machines. Now, putting a goal which is not consulting, I think I might get rejected, right? So this is exactly where I think I probably would have said it so many times, but I'm going to say it again. Guys, a school is a marketplace, right? Where companies are going to come in and they're going to buy, not buy, I mean, they're going to pick the profiles just like the company goes to a marketplace or a person going to marketplace and buying vegetables and fruits, picking fruits and vegetables, right? Like I need 10 kg potato, right? Like no one buys 10 kg potato. But let's say I need 10 pieces of potatoes. I need 20 management consultants, but I also need 10 product managers. I'm also looking for 3 marketing managers, right? Diversity, especially for INSEAD, right? I mean, if they're saying diversity, and obviously they would expect people from diverse backgrounds and people who have diverse tastes of post-MBA goals, right? Else it's going to be like it's like INSEAD is not putting up a facade, guys. Over here, they really value diversity. But yeah, the way you should pick up your goal, again, it should really match with the employment statistics and something, and also that particular goal. It's not that you just made it up, you know. You should be able to relate it with your overall story. So when I pick a goal for the applicant, that thing is sitting at the core of the applicant. I'll be honest, at your core, all of you know there's one job you can really very, very well do, but you want to compete for management consulting because everyone is doing that, right? And that's what gives you the highest amount of money, right? You guys are not thinking all the time at the moment, like how much time you're gonna get in your life after that. But what you're thinking is when I should put my ATM card in that machine, the amount that I should see over there, right? That should make me really happy, right? All of you are thinking this way. But all of you inside also know there's another role you can do, right? So what I do is I just harness that thing out of you and nothing more, and it's easy, Paridhi. Everyone has it. It's just that they're not putting it on paper.
All right. Thanks, Shantanu. Okay, we've got just 5 more minutes.
And by the way, I was scrolling through it and I got a very interesting question which says, "Can be
Yes.
spiritual, be welcomed as a strength?"
Yeah, we
Right?
talked about it.
Okay, my bad. Then I probably would be searching for
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I answered that
Um,
already.
Right, but since I just saw it, I mean, I would say you can derive skills out of being spiritual, right? You can really talk about for instance, you can really talk about the focus that it really brings in, and then showcase that how with focus, you really solve the problem. You stay focus on a particular problem set, right? And yeah, other skills from being spiritual that you could derive, belief, faith, right? We can really use these transferable skills coming out of being spiritual and then turning it into and showing how you really leverage it in your profession.
We are almost towards touching the end of the session. So I've dropped my calendar link over there. If you guys have any questions apart from the goals and the candidate description essay, feel free to schedule a call with me. Now, as an initiative, as a follow-up on this session, feel free to reach out to us, but I would really want you to think through the candidate description to summarize your strengths and weaknesses need support from your personal life, not your professional life. While, of course, you can talk about some professional life, like Shantanu has given you 3 examples of candidate description, you can try to talk about them, but they should not be the direct starting point of where you start describing yourself. So whenever you're describing yourself, think of that connection. And again, one thing that Shantanu was just mentioned, the core of you. I think if you can identify that core for yourself, I know 2 days is not so much of a time, but if you can, please mention that over there, because that is going to directly link to your post MBA goal, even if you do not know your post MBA goals right now. So looking forward to reading some of your answers this weekend, and maybe like spend my Sunday just reading great answers, and then probably come back to you with feedback or go on a call with you if there's something that we can kick off with. If you're targeting INSEAD for November 4 deadline, the objective of this session is to already get you started. So we've already gotten you started on how should you think about your candidate description. My suggestion is just start working on it, and you would already be going forward in your application. Having said this, I'm going to quickly just share my screen again, which I haven't yet, to show you where you could register for the upcoming workshops on various essays. Just allow me a quick minute. Yes. And, sorry, guys, I'm just a little fidgety, but almost there. So you can go on our website, and here you'll be able to see the events calendar where you see Coffee with MBA and Beyond. So there are all these, upcoming essay workshops that we're going to be hosting. Today's is done, but then October 3rd is going to be Kellogg Columbia booth. Then there's Stanford Harvard. So we'll only be talking about the most difficult essay question. So if you're working on these applications, feel free to register for them for free. They're absolutely free information. Nobody says no to. So go ahead and do that. And if you're looking to work with us, then I'm happy to have a chat. All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you, Shantanu, so much. It was
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Paridhi. Thank you, everyone, for staying until the end. Bye-bye.